You're not the only one who felt differently after watching Daytona weekend. Because what had begun as a crazy superspeedway opener swiftly escalated into a full-fledged NASCAR argument, with fans debating strategy versus manipulation, drivers criticizing one another and officials intervening later to explain that while the rules remained the same, the atmosphere of the race definitely changed. Carson Hocevar, a driver who went from heartbreak in the final seconds of the Daytona 500 to being at the center of yet another Daytona issue off the track, was there in the middle of it all. Music, and now, ahead of Atlanta, an unexpected roster change has been formally confirmed. However, since there are 3 levels to this story and they are all connected, you must understand the entire context before we move on to the replacement. The controversy surrounding Daytona 500 last lap cheating. Let's begin with the term cheating, which is frequently used by fans. To be clear, no one has been charged with cheating by NASCAR. For precisely cheating, there were no sanctions. There was no formal accusation of misconduct. However, what fans are referring to as cheating is actually a growing perception that teams and drivers are manipulating the system, particularly on superspeedways, by varying the pace, fuel strategy, and timing of cautions. Daytona weekend added fuel to the fire because there were several instances that appeared to call for a yellow. Nevertheless, NASCAR remained cautious for as long as it could. Even though an issue was still being monitored, authorities in the Music Cup race permitted the field to race back to the line. Following that, NASCAR's management directly addressed the dispute. Cup Series Managing Director Brad Moran clarified on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio that NASCAR had the resources and visibility to stay green at that particular time. As the leaders got closer to the finish line, it was made clear that cameras, spotters, replay, and remote race control were still keeping an eye on the situation. Then, Managing Director of Communications Mike Ford offered a crucial detail on NASCAR's hauler talk. Because Daytona's runoff area is so large, they were able to exercise prudence without endangering the field. Additionally, he cautioned that Atlanta is unique. There is much less runoff and less room for error, which could alter the speed at which warnings are issued. This is the remark that essentially served as the headline for NASCAR's whole justification. Every wreck is a snowflake, Ford remarked. In other words, no 2 collisions are alike. Every single track is unique. And NASCAR is making an effort to maintain consistency, but safety considerations may compel other choices. Now, the whole point of the cheating discussion is whether or not fans accept that explanation since, from their point of view, it doesn't seem like snowflakes. It appears like they should be allowed to compete regardless of the outcome, particularly during the last lap. And that's how this relates to Hocevar's heartbreak in the Daytona 500 and why it sparked the discussion. Not only was Hocevar performing well in the Daytona 500, but he also had the lead on the last lap. This is the kind of event that transforms a career, the kind of finish that instantly makes a rookie driver famous. But then it took place. A possible hallmark victory vanished in a matter of seconds after he was struck from behind and turned. He later claimed to have felt a powerful shot in the rear while attempting to move his lane, but he gave credit to his team and stated he was unsure of what he would have done differently. And that's what increased the volume of the dispute. Fans weren't merely debating regulations. They were debating how pandemonium, time, caution, and whether drivers are racing at full speed or playing fuel and position chess until the final 10 meters now determine Daytona finishes. Officials from NASCAR agree that the discussion on fuel conservation is now inevitable. They acknowledge that even in the absence of a fast switch to flip, drivers ride at reduced power for extended periods of time to regulate pit cycles and track position. Therefore, even though Hocevar's most recent lap incident wasn't considered cheating, it had place over a weekend when fans were already upset about what they believe to be the current state of superspeedway racing. It only takes one more scandal to light the match in a sport where tensions are already high. Hocevar versus Ware, the other Daytona debate, blows up. Because there was more to it than just the Cup race. The United Rentals 300 was another event that Hocevar attended throughout the weekend, and it was there that the conflict with Carson Hocevar turned from intense to a major story. Tempers flared after a big wreck eliminated contention. Furthermore, Hocevar didn't exactly calm things down in the days that followed. With comments that supporters instantly took as a jab at Ware's credibility, he intensified the situation. Hocevar, Music, stated, "Yeah, I understand some people just aren't racers and they just want to have it in their Instagram bio or say they are racers," in a comment that reporter Noah Lewis widely circulated. Thus, it doesn't matter if you choose to ride on the back. We're is associated with Rick, we're racing. Thus that statement struck a deep chord. Additionally, anything that sounds like you're here because of who you are in NASCAR quickly becomes a larger story than the actual incident. In response, we're emphasized appreciation for crews and the labor that goes into making vehicles race-ready, in addition to drivers. He stated that he doesn't mind gestures, but he took issue with what he saw as needless contact and damage following the race, citing the effort his crew puts into creating and maintaining equipment. Thus, Hocevar's Daytona weekend was more than just a heartbreaking final lap in the 500. Additionally, there was a developing rivalry, a remark that went viral, and a fan base that was already debating manipulation and games at extremely high speeds. Music. This brings up the following query. What then becomes of Hocevar? Drivers typically move on following a major Daytona storyline. However, Hocevar left Daytona with more than just drama. He left it under pressure from the timetable, the spotlight, and now a verified change on his way to Atlanta. Because a lot of supporters thought he would do another triple-duty weekend. And that presumption proved to be incorrect. As entry lists and weekend schedules for Atlanta, specifically Echo Park Speedway, where NASCAR will next compete, began to surface, we found out. And that's where this story's replacement confirmed portion starts to take shape. According to reports, Hocevar will not run the Xfinity race in Atlanta, but he will still fulfill his obligations to Spire Motorsports and maintain his truck schedule. Why is that important now? Because there is more than simply one race eliminated. It's an indication that the team is either cutting back on work, seeking stability following scandal, or controlling risk following a chaotic Daytona stretch. Let me ask you a brief question before I reveal the name. Please assist me if you love the drama, the behind-the-scenes choices, and the aspects of NASCAR coverage that aren't always clearly explained. This channel is brand new. We're aiming for 100 subscribers, and I would love for this video to receive 100 likes. The replacement reveal is coming up soon. So please hit like, share it with one NASCAR friend, and subscribe to the channel. Additionally, this entire argument will be fueled even more by the Atlanta weekend. Atlanta's replacement for Hocevar has been verified. Nick Lights is the one. For the O'Reilly Series weekend, Lights will take Hocevar's position in the number 42 Chevrolet for Young's Motorsports in Atlanta. This is significant since it's more than just a haphazard fill-in. As noted in the material around this move, Lights already has recent experience in Atlanta, and his recent part-time work has produced strong flashes, including a career-best run at Talladega. Thus, this is the real-world outcome while fans are preoccupied with the Daytona cheating dispute and the drama that followed the race. A new name is getting a chance, while Hocevar is reducing his weekend workload. Why? This choice may be more significant than it first appears. Punishment is not always implied by this substitution. It doesn't always imply discord inside the team. It implies one thing, but it does not necessarily imply that NASCAR intervened. The best course of action might be to streamline the week, cut down on distractions, and maintain the focus on Cup and trucks after a Daytona weekend where everything got louder: the last lap discussion, the feud, the scrutiny. The next superspeedway-style event is coming with a microscope attached, so even if Daytona seemed like, let them race, Atlanta might not provide NASCAR the same flexibility. Additionally, NASCAR itself has hinted that Atlanta could necessitate different caution choices because to less runoff. Therefore, whether fans refer to it as strategy, gaming, cheating, or contemporary superspeedway racing, the next chapter is already packed. However, might be in a better position to react on time if he has less on his plate. I have to ask you now, do you believe that NASCAR's cautious approach is making the product better, or is it causing more controversy? Do you think Hocevar's decision to scale back is wise, or does it raise concerns? Leave a comment with your thoughts. Again, we're striving for 100 likes and 100 subscribers if you want this channel to thrive. To help NASCAR Central get going, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you at the next one.